Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over how I make my cinnamon swirl sourdough loaf.
Here I am adding 500 grams of pre-measured all-purpose flour, as well as 150 grams of my pre-fed sourdough starter. Then I am adding in 325 grams of warm water, as well as 25 grams of honey, 20 grams of avocado oil, and 10 grams of salt. If you do not have avocado oil, you can sub out for olive oil. Next, I'm just going to thoroughly stir that together until all the ingredients are combined. I like to start with the spatula and then go in and use my hands, as I find that this helps to really incorporate those ingredients.
So in my previous video, I did mention hydrating that flour and water together for at least 30 minutes before you are going to add in the rest of your ingredients. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna produce that nice gluten. I was in a rush yesterday, so I didn't end up doing that. Although this recipe still turns out great if you don't have time to hydrate your flour.
Here I am covering my dough with a tea towel to let sit for an hour to proof. And then here I am coming in to do the stretch and folds. I typically do 4 to 6 sets of these, each with 4 to 6 stretch and folds each time. I do these every 30 minutes, and what this is doing is it's helping to strengthen the gluten within your dough to provide a good structure. In between these sets, you'll cover with your tea towel.
So then when I'm doing my stretch and folds, I typically do 4 to 6 each time by turning the bowl. And what I'm doing is I'm getting underneath that dough and pulling it up over the loaf itself. And what this is doing is it's strengthening the gluten within your dough. So it's getting those nice air bubbles as well as that strength to hold the structure of your dough before you bake it. And then I'm going to cover my dough and let sit for 6 to 8 hours to proof and hopefully get that nice rise to it. Just in a warm environment. I typically like to have a warm environment of about 70 to 73 degrees, although if your house isn't that warm, especially in the winter, you can place it on top of your stovetop with the oven on, and that heat coming out of the oven is really going to help your dough proof well.
After that 6 to 8 hours is up and I got a nice rise on my dough, I'm going to take it out of the bowl and put it on a lightly floured surface. Then I am going to take some flour and dust that on top and use my hands to get that dough as flat as I can. And then I will be going in with my rolling pin and really flattening out that dough. Next, this is where you go in with your brown sugar and cinnamon. Here I'm just scooping some brown sugar and adding that on top. And then I'm going to go in with my cinnamon and just sprinkle throughout. Your goal here is to get this as evenly dispersed on top of that flat dough as possible. And then I am going to roll that up into my loaf. So here I'm just folding that over as well as folding in the sides. This is going to help make sure that none of that cinnamon sugar filling comes out while baking.
So what I really like about this recipe is you can kind of experiment around with the sweetness. So you can add as much or as little brown sugar and cinnamon as you like. I really love cinnamon, so I add quite a bit of cinnamon to my loaf. Although once you make this loaf, you can kind of omit or add as much as you would like.
Here I'm just going in and trying to shape my dough into a nice loaf. It does not have to be perfect, but just to get that shape of the loaf pan. Once that's shaped, I'm going to lightly dust with flour and score. Here I'm just going in with a simple leaf design, nothing fancy, but I'm more trying to get this loaf to have a nice rise to it, so I wasn't too concerned about how it looked.
So you're gonna bake your loaf at 400 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. And I find that this varies depending on what kind of oven you have. Some ovens run hot and some don't run as hot. So I would recommend watching your loaf as it bakes to see that color on top. Mine typically takes about 35 minutes, although I would really recommend taking a look to see if it has that golden crust, because that's when you're gonna know it's done.
Here is my loaf after I baked it. It has had time to cool off, and so I'm popping it out of that tin. And then you are going to go in and slice it. I find that this bread is best served slightly warm for 15 seconds in the microwave with some butter, cinnamon, and sugar on top. This bread is great for breakfast, dessert, or an afternoon snack. And there you have your cinnamon swirl sourdough loaf.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, hit that like button below and subscribe. I will be putting out more videos about sourdough and baking every week, so stick around and enjoy my sourdough journey with me.